We want to start off with a reminder that we are not doctors. Before you make any changes or try something new, always consult with your doctor and medical team first. Chronic illness can vary from patient to patient, so it's always best to consult with your own doctor for what is best for you.
Hello and welcome to I Be Determined. I'm your host, Mason Harvey.
And I'm your host, Michelle Harvey. I am Mason's mom, and I am in the role of the caregiver.
And I have Crohn's disease.
So something today that we're going to discuss is going to be probably a little boring for Mason. So he may be a little more quiet on this one. Hopefully he'll kind of chime in where he can. But this is about insurance and fighting to get things authorized, approved, whether it's biologics, medications, stuff like that. So
wonderful.
Yeah. So this is actually a fight that a lot of us face multiple times a year. And unfortunately, it's more frequent than it should be. And this is because a doctor will say Mason needs Entyvio. And insurance will say, no, he doesn't. And someone from insurance who's not a doctor feels that they have the authority to make those changes. So there's a discrepancy there between what the doctors are saying is needed and what insurance wants to pay for what is needed. And to be fair, I mean, how much
for a lot?
How much do you know how much your Entyvio costs every 4 weeks?
I kind of remember the number, but I kind of forgot.
Yeah. So it's around $34,000.
It's a big number.
Yeah. And for your Stelara injection every 4 weeks, that is around $28,000. So
that's a lot to pay for.
It is. That's once a month, basically. So once a month, our insurance has to pay that much just for 2 biologics. So it is expensive. There's a lot to debate on this, but what we're going to stay focused on today is helping you get your biologics authorized. And so that's what we're here to do today, to help show you guys how you can fight and how you can win. That's the most important part. Yeah, it's the most important part. So you can help yourself or help your child if you're caregiving with them. So part of the issue here is that, like for someone Mason's age, is that the biologics he's on are not FDA approved for under 18. So that already creates an issue for kids. So a lot of parents out there listening, I'm pretty sure if you're listening and you have a child under 18, you have dealt with getting biologics or steroids or whatever it might be. Mason has been on dual biologics, which is Stelara and Entyvio. And last year, he was denied his Entyvio when the doctor went to basically renew it, to get it reauthorized, because it has to happen once a year. And so when they went to reauthorize it, the insurance company said, no, we're not going to do it. And Mason, we found out about this too. This is the horrible part. We found out the day before his infusion. So this wasn't like we had any time to prepare. We had no idea till the day before when the infusion center called us and said, Mason can't come in to get his infusion. He can't get his medication because insurance is not going to pay for it. And that was a complete surprise to us. So we immediately jumped on it and thought maybe we could somehow miraculously get it turned around to 24 hours. And we didn't. It ended up taking 3 weeks. And so Mason was overdue for his Entyvio by 3 weeks, which
is bad.
Which is bad.
You could go into a flare because you don't, you're not getting what you need to keep your Crohn's down.
Right. And that can lead to more issues. And it's difficult on Mason as well. And so it was just crazy to me that insurance could do this to a child or allow this to happen. And I don't understand, if something was working and things were going well, why they would suddenly say no. They suddenly realized, we just realized what their argument was. We just realized he's on dual biologics. That's not approved. There's not enough studies on that. You hear that and it's like, well, the reason there's not enough studies is because it isn't FDA approved and they don't do studies on these kids. So that's a huge reason, guys, why Crohn's and Colitis Foundation is so important, because the research they're doing, and I'm hoping they can champion for these kids to somehow get this research so that children don't face this issue. And I know adults is hard enough, but for a child, it's even more problematic, and it shouldn't be that way. So that's why research is very important and case studies, so that you have that proof that something is working beyond just saying it's working for Mason, because they want to know it's working for more people than just Mason.
Crohn's different for everyone, though.
Yeah, a lot to handle mentally as well. It's not, none of this is easy. And just keep in mind when you're listening to this is just one example we're going to share today. So the process we're going to take you through is something that can happen multiple times, and we've had to do several times. So this isn't like a one-time deal. This
is going to happen multiple times.
We just got a bill like a week ago. That is a $1,600 surprise bill for Mason's Entyvio.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's what it feels like. And it was like, what is this? We had everything taken care of and set up. And so now we're trying to work with the hospital to get that taken care of. So there's always something going on. And that's another thing you don't see with this disease, is what we're fighting, just to keep our kids and keep adults, keep ourselves, you that have this disease out there who have IBD, keep yourself healthy. And that's hard to do when you have a full-time job and and they make it your full-time job to advocate and to try to get what your doctor is asking for you to get. So the very first thing we're talking about is the first steps you're going to take when you're denied, because more than likely you're going to get denied, because as we mentioned earlier, they're not FDA approved for someone under 18. Yeah. So you're going to I would say to expect a denial. If you don't, awesome. But for most of you listening, you're going to get one. And adults, you may get one as well. I know you're fighting this too. This isn't just isolated to children. But for the most part with us, we always assume something is going to just get rejected the first time. And his doctor's always ready to appeal, because she knows that's
assume the worst, probably going to happen. You're going to be prepared for it.
Right. And that's the thing. Please watch this whole thing through. Even if you don't watch it in one sitting, pay attention. And then even if you're like, well, I don't think we're going to have this problem, or we've never had it, take notes and prepare yourself with the information I'm giving you. Be prepared, have stuff in a file, have stuff ready to go. So that's the best advice I give you, is be prepared. So when it does happen, you're ready to go. So pay attention and be prepared. This might not just be to get the biologic authorized. You might be just trying to change your time frame. So going from like 8 weeks to 4 weeks. And so that's another hurdle too, because again, they're going to need case studies and need research to show that this works. Some people, it is more difficult even for adults to do this. So even once you've got the drug, then trying to get them to give it to you at different intervals is also going to be a challenge. The very first thing that happens is your doctor's going to try to get a biologic authorized. Insurance is probably going to say no. And so the doctor's going to say yes, and this is why. And that's called the appeal. So they're going to appeal it, and they're going to have, usually like we have a coordinator, we have Bernie at Rady's, who was instrumental in this when we had this major problem with Entyvio, but he's been helpful in all of them. And so they usually have someone that deals with insurance and is kind of like your go-between, because your doctor can't possibly handle all of these because they're getting rejections right and left. So yeah, so there's someone that should be able to help you with this. And one of the things like our doctor did, so when we were just talking about that 8 week to 4 week change, is she had Mason go do full labs. And so they would run labs on him to see where his levels were at, and that would provide proof why Mason needed that increase from 8 weeks to 4 weeks. And do it right before your treatment too. That's crucial. So that way you can see where your body is at when you're at your lowest before you get your next dosage. And your doctor can also use that to help
with proof
appeal. Yeah, for proof, because it's like, this is what I'm saying.
Here's the levels.
He needs can't more. Deny it. Yeah. Right. And so that's a very helpful step too. So we found that was helpful. So say you do this, your doctor appeals it, and it is denied. So you appeal again and try again. The doctor, and I mean, this is really a lot of work for the doctor. A lot of people don't realize how hard these doctors work behind the scenes just on paperwork and this sort of thing, which they shouldn't have to. It shouldn't be this difficult, but it is. And so what they do is they will appeal again, and keep up with your doctor. Don't give up. Don't give up yet, because it's not over yet. And so then that appeal may also get denied. And so then what you're going to do is you would ask for your doctor to set up a peer-to-peer with insurance. And in doing that, they also could do a letter of necessity. So that's, I know our doctor she had research, she had case studies. And so in our case that we're speaking about right now, after we went through all this, they still said no. And at that point, you might feel like,
oh, what's going to work?
Yeah, really. And you're kind of like probably feeling like giving up because it's like, geez, we've tried all this, because time is passing during this too. And it's crucial. And you're trying to hurry and get things done.
But you need that biologic as soon as possible.
Yeah. So there's that stress, and you're trying to watch your child. Like, are changes happening? Is something going on? So the whole situation is just very stressful. But the important thing to remember is don't give up, because it will be worth it. So keep fighting. It's tough. It isn't fair, but you got to do it.
The end result is worth it.
It is. We made it through the first denial, the second denial. And we finally got to the peer-to-peer. That didn't work. And so before I go on to these next tips, you are probably able to do a level 2 appeal. That comes after the first appeal, second appeal, peer-to-peer. You can do a level 2 appeal. And something important to note when you're doing these, and even if you're working with someone at the hospital who is in the insurance or that, fight with you for insurance. So even with that, make sure you mark it urgent, because if you don't, they will take a long time to get back to you.
Put it off until they have time for it.
Right. We didn't necessarily know these things. We found this as we went, and it was like, oh, great. We already turned in the level 2 appeal and we didn't mark it urgent. So just letting you know, mark it urgent. Yeah. Always do that, and it'll get you through faster. So at this point, a lot of people have already gotten approval. So not to scare everyone out there, this is kind of like last ditch efforts here, because you've made it this far and you still don't have it. And your son, in our case, still doesn't have his Entyvio. The first thing is to know your insurance, like what type you have, because this will affect the next step you take. And this would have helped us if we had known this. And so we're going to share this with you because we learned from this.
We want to help.
Yeah, definitely. That's why we're here. So if you have insurance that's state regulated, so like if you don't have it through an employer, you can file something called an independent medical review, an IMR, and it's a complaint with your state. And again, if you're listening, we are in California, so things may be a little different in your state. I just want to reiterate that. I probably should have said in the beginning, but we're in California, so this is how it goes in our state. But I would assume it may be similar in yours, or maybe it's not called the same thing, but maybe something like similar. But your doctor should know about this. So if you've done the appeals, the peer-to-peer, all that, you can file the IMR, which for our hospitals at the time, it usually has a really good rate of getting the decision overturned. And you have to mark this also as urgent, because it can take around 30 days to get a response, which in most cases, like for us, would have been a
little bit of a long time.
It is, because by the time you've reached this, it's actually been a few weeks. Yeah. Like all of the stuff I talked about takes about 2 weeks.
You don't want to wait a month.
No. And so then you're like, okay, now we're looking at another month out from here, which is 6 weeks from when we started that. And that's unacceptable. Mm-hmm. So make sure you mark it urgent. And so we ended up filing an IMR. And we didn't realize when we filed it that our insurance wouldn't work for that. So when we found out, the U.S. Department of Labor, the Employee Benefits Security Administration, sent us a notice saying that they closed our IMR request. And which we had lost valuable time waiting on this, because we were kind of counting on this. This was the ace in the hole. This was going to get us his Entyvio.
Last resort.
Yeah. And so when we found out it was a waste of time, now we'd wasted more days doing this. We're like, okay, what the heck? Like, now what do we do? So we found out we're considered self-insured, even though we have Aetna. But because we have insurance through my husband's employer, which is Costco, it's considered self-insured. So we are not eligible to file an IMR in our state because of this. We could reach out to Costco's Human Resources Department to help us out, see if they could point us out to someone who could coordinate efforts to help us with this, because they actually do have the power to talk to insurance and tell them to do it. This is really helpful and something I didn't know they had the power to do. So because it's self-insured, Costco can talk to Aetna directly and say, we want Mason to have this. And they will say, okay. And we didn't realize that was an option. But anyways, we were told, and I don't know if this is true because we didn't get to this step, that you can file an IMR with these companies instead of the state. So you would file with the company instead of state. It's another type of complaint. So you can do that through your company that you are insured through versus trying to do it through the state. So not sure if that works. We were told that. We reached out to Costco's Human Resources, and within 48 hours we had approval, and Mason was in the infusion center getting his infusion. So it was 3 weeks overdue.
Yeah.
But I think
quite a bit of a long time.
It was very upsetting, but I do know it could have been longer if, this
hadn't. We don't mark those messages urgent.
Right. Remembered that. So that's what ended up ultimately working for us. So it's important to know what kind of insurance you have. And at the same time, though, because we weren't sure this was going to work, I had all these things going. I had reached out to the Patient Advocate Foundation, and they were super helpful, super knowledgeable. And I encourage you guys to reach out to them because they are definitely able to tell you, like, okay, have you done this? This is what you need to do next. And they will give you the best options for the best outcomes for your situation. They're fantastic. So they are a nonprofit, but they will assist you in fighting. I found them to be very organized, very helpful, and knowing all the loopholes that I would never have known. And they'll reach out to you. They'll call you back with things. You call them. It's the email. It's great. So I'm going to leave a link at the end of this in the description for you guys, so you have that information. I encourage you to keep that on hand. They're helpful for anything, and also looking into solutions for paying for things too. They have that option as well. So I was using them at the same time. I also reached out to Takeda. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Right. So I apologize.
Sure.
I know. I don't really know. But Takeda is the maker of Entyvio. So we reached out because they have a patient advocate association that will sometimes grant you the drug for free. And that was only part of our issue, because once we got the drug, we also have to pay for the administration of it, which is the really expensive part at the hospital too. That's, probably 20
part paying.
Yeah, it's probably, I don't know if it's like 20,000 or what it is. So we had a whole separate issue with that. So just to warn you guys, just getting the drug for free doesn't necessarily mean it's going to solve the infusion center. You still have to check with insurance to make sure the administration of it is covered, even if you get the drug for free. So just important to know. I don't think it's a bad thing to have in place, because they'll sometimes grant these based on compassion. So even if you don't fulfill monetarily the reasons why you need this drug, sometimes just out of compassion, they will do it. And so that's something else that we had done in the midst of all this. Is we had talked to them, we had filled out forms. So we were also doing that. At the same time, I was also reaching out to senators, assembly members, congressmen, all of them. And I was calling everybody. I spoke with several offices, and I figured out eventually the best way to do this is to reach out to the representative in your district. And you can reach out to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation for this kind of help, because they can tell you who your representatives are in your area. That's another option. So I had called them because
Crohn's and Colitis. Got it.
Yeah.
Got everything you need.
They do have everything. They really are helpful. So they're part of this.
I wasn't sarcastic. It was actually
no, because I had called them and was like, I need help. What can you do? And so they were able to, they know who is in our districts and who to connect us to. And the other thing was, if it's not, your insurance isn't through the state, they can't do as much either. So I found that out because ours wasn't through the state, that they would have a harder time fighting for us. So if yours is not like ours, if your insurance isn't like ours, you have a better shot with a senator or assembly member or a representative in that capacity. For us, it didn't work, but I did actually find an assembly member who was going to still try to help us, and ended up not needing to go that route. So I don't know how that would have turned out, but I did get through begging and pleading and, telling Mason's story and just saying, I'm a mom that needs help and I want to get him what he needs. And so somebody did listen. So you may have to call around, and you may have to be the squeaky wheel and get people to listen to you, but that's part of this. So that's also what I was doing. The other thing is social media. So this is important. And somebody brought this to my attention saying, you need to post about this, and you need to tag insurance, and whoever's involved, post, tag them. And also people can share. So somebody that's your friend on Facebook, they can share on their Facebook. Yeah.
Over there, just can share it.
Exactly. And so you maybe write up the story, what's going on, and ask people to help. And you never know who they're friends with that may be able to help you. So that's very important. That's a great tool to use that most of us can just do immediately, and share this so people know why it is important to donate and fund research, because things like this happen that shouldn't happen to kids, and it happens to adults. It happens way more often than anybody realizes. And with proper research and legislation that's out there to fight this kind of thing, this is important. Something where we also look at step therapy, which is where insurance says they want you to fail something in order to let you have something. And
this isn't great.
No, like, how's that make you feel? Like,
I could be getting worse while I'm trying to see if this one's failing. So I'm just going to keep getting worse. So if there is one that doesn't work, we try it in a certain amount of time, I'm going to be so bad maybe that we won't even know if it works or not.
Right. Because then it becomes even more difficult for it to work, because biologics are like a maintenance drug. Yeah. And so when you are flaring, you need something else to kind of help to get you back to that remission level where it can maintain you. So yeah, so like with things like step therapy, with insurance asking you to fail something before they'll give you what the doctor says you need, that's unacceptable. I don't think any child, any adult should be asked to fail. And especially when it's your life, this is your health. And this happens.
Your health isn't a joke.
Not at all. And it happens though, where insurance is able to say no. And if a doctor says that you need this, that should be end of story. And someone from insurance shouldn't be able to say, well, try something else. I mean, we've had that even with a particular steroid. There was a certain one requested for Mason and it got denied because they said, oh no, this one is for ulcerative colitis. Mason has Crohn's.
And why was it prescribed to me?
Yeah, well, it was because the doctor knows, but
the doctor knows.
Insurance
doesn't know.
Yeah. And so trying to explain to them that Crohn's can also include colitis, because ulcerative colitis will not include Crohn's, but Crohn's can include colitis because it's everywhere in the system. And Mason's does present in his colon. Yeah. And this is what we were trying to treat. And because Mason was not technically ulcerative colitis, but Crohn's, which should have been an automatic qualification, they wouldn't do it. And we ended up going a different route because the time it was taking was too much. And he was flaring, and insurance didn't care. And they were like, no, and the doctor was saying, what you're telling him to take will not help this. Did not matter to them. So Mason ended up taking something else that he had been prescribed before that worked for him, thankfully. But how many people go through this and are very ill because they're not getting the care they need?
Too much time.
We hope that what we talked to you about today is helpful. Yeah. And if you guys are listening to this and there's a few things you feel like I missed, or you have a few questions about your own steps to take, please reach out in the comments, message me. We're more than happy to help. And so we're trying to keep this short, but if more information is needed, please let us know. We're happy to help. Hopefully this helps you guys. Hopefully it kind of makes things move along faster. And just also don't forget, don't give up, don't stop trying. And it's going to be a lot of work, but yeah, it will be. Call insurance every day. That's what I did. I did not stop bothering them. And I know that's probably annoying, but
you got to be like that.
Yeah. Well, because I'm thinking, how many other people right now are just getting overlooked because they think insurance is handling something. And so I just wanted them to know that I wasn't going to disappear. So, it took time. And even on my husband's days off, he would help make calls. At one point, him and I were both on our own phones trying to call different people because one of us would get disconnected. So he would get on. So if I got disconnected, he would have a chance. And then sometimes you'd be on a 4-way call between, your doctor, between insurance, between the insurance coordinator with you. And it was crazy. And luckily though, we ended up getting it. And I can only hope that you guys out there don't end up off of a biologic or where you flare because of something like that. So hopefully this helped.
Preps you for battle.
Yeah, exactly. It does. Preps you for battle. I like that. So, but yeah, so hopefully this helps. Reach out to us. You can follow us on Team IB Determined on Instagram, and you can reach out to me on there. You can comment or send me a message. It doesn't have to, you can keep it private. So you're welcome to message me. You're welcome to comment here. If you're watching us on YouTube,
you can like and subscribe, but hit that bell if you want notifications. And also, if you want, you can leave a comment.
Yes,
because we read the comments. We don't get that many comments. So it's easy.
But even if we got more, we'd read them.
Yeah, we'd read them.
Yeah, we would. So feel free.
We love the support. So.
Yeah. And even if you want to add your experience or something you did that helped you, because again, this was our experience. There's other ways to do this. This is not the only way. We're just trying to give you this. So in case you haven't done one of these things, you're like, oh, cool. I have a new weapon to fight with in this insurance battle. But maybe you have something you could say, oh, for mine, this is what happened and this is what worked. So please let us know. It would only help others who are listening. So you're also welcome to listen to us. You might not want to watch us. That's okay too. I know. Okay, so some people probably enjoy watching the YouTube video. Others of you just want to listen. Put your earbuds in and just do whatever you're doing and listen. And if we're on iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, and Buzzsprout, you can find us on there. I have like a link I always put up where find all the places you can listen to us. So hopefully this helped today, and hopefully you guys will end up getting whatever you need approved or authorized. And again, reach out if we can be of any help. We're happy to help.
Happy to help.
All right. Also, really quick. When this comes out, because this I always release these on a Thursday. Where will we be?
Disneyland.
We'll be at Disneyland. Ooh. So yeah. So when you see this, we will be in Disneyland. If it's a Thursday, if you're watching when it comes out. Yeah, I know. So if you made it all the way to the end,
congratulations.
Yeah. So the big announcement is we're going to Club 33. And some of you listening are probably like, interesting. What's that? And others of you are listening going, oh my gosh. And you know what it is. And it's kind of like, it's very hard to get into, very exclusive. And you have to have a membership, and the wait list to get these memberships is like 15 years. So
it's crazy.
Yeah. And it's super expensive. A lot of corporations have these memberships, and or celebrities have these. So it's very difficult to get in. But we had a friend of a friend of a friend who agreed to get us a reservation under their membership at Club 33 at Disneyland. So this will be the first time Mason's eaten in a restaurant in a long time. And he gets to be Club 33. Yeah. I know. So I think our next podcast is probably going to be
exclusively about Club 33.
Yeah, because so many people are like, we want to hear what happened. And so I think we'll put pictures up too. So if you're on YouTube, you'll get to see pictures. So I think that's going to be what the next podcast will be dedicated to.
No videos.
Yeah.
No videos.
No videos. We can't do any videos. We can only take pictures in there. So we're going to share experience because this is a big deal. And also help you guys, because we can't just be selfish and talk about ourselves and all the fun we had. We have to also figure out, how do we give back? Yeah. And so I think one of the ways to do that is we'll tell you guys how, if you are on biologics and you have a suppressed immune system, ways that you can enjoy an amusement park like Disneyland and stay as safe as possible. Of course, there's risks. You talk to your doctor like we did. Our doctor's aware of it.
They allow it. You're good.
Yeah. And
as long as you're being safe.
Yes. And we'll tell you about that. So we are prepared. We are very careful at all times. We're always wary of this. So we will probably think that'd be a cool thing to talk about, what we did, and then talk about Club 33 and share some pictures with you guys. So we're excited. That's where we'll be.
That's where we'll be.
Yeah. And anyways, okay, we're going to end this now because it's going to keep going on and on.
And on and on.
Yeah, I apologize. You've stuck with us this long. We will let you go now. So have a great day, evening, weekend, week, work week, whatever it is, wherever you're listening to us. And we will see you guys on the next
special episode.
Very next special episode. Yeah, exactly.
Double words that don't make sense.
All right, guys. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye. We hope you will stick around, tune in, and reach out to us with your own journeys. We are excited to give you an inside view of what it takes to be a caregiver and what it's like to be a patient.
And most of all, we hope you'll maybe be able to play something you hear on here that might help you in your own life. Sometimes life changes, and it's all about how you handle the journey.